Hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is Rebecca Stewart and I'm an educational psychologist in Bristol.
Hi, and I'm Ellen Cook, also an educational psychologist in Bristol.
And my name is Amanda Gaulter, another educational psychologist in Bristol.
So we have put together this short webinar to think about how to maintain connection whilst socially distancing. Times are strange right now. We're being separated from family, friends and loved ones. When we go out in public, we have to stay 2 meters apart from everyone. If we meet a friend for a walk, we may be standing on opposite sides of the park, and reunions with family members can't involve a hug. The past 3 months have really highlighted how much of our communication and connection is achieved through physical contact. It looks like social distancing isn't going anywhere for a while, so how do we maintain connection in a time when we have to stay physically apart? This seems a particularly important issue to address as schools are gradually increasing their numbers and preparing for September, when children and young people are going back into quite different school environments. We hope the following information will be helpful for staff to think about how to ensure that pupils can feel a sense of connection in school whilst adhering to social distancing boundaries. We hope it will also be helpful to parents who are supporting their children with the transition back to school, or trying to help them to maintain a sense of connection with friends and family while they're unable to go back to school. So why is connection important? Much of psychology has focused on the importance of relationships. At different stages of development, different relationships have more influence. For example, as a baby, the parent or carer relationship is key in getting our needs met. However, as we develop, different relationships become important to us. Siblings, friends, neighbours, teachers, sports coaches. There are so many people who shape a child's development, and it is important that we support children to maintain these connections in a safe way during COVID-19. One of the main reasons for this is because relationships are important for resilience. Resilience is often defined as the ability to overcome adversity and be able to adapt to challenging circumstances. Essentially, it means being able to bounce back from a difficult time. Sound relevant? COVID-19 definitely fits into the category of challenging circumstances, and at some point in the future, we are all going to be expected to bounce back into previous roles. For our children, this will be going back to school and being students again. So what's going to help them to do this? The strongest factor in promoting resilience in young people is having a trusting relationship with at least one key adult. Connection, therefore, is going to be extremely important in helping them to bounce back. Ellen is going to speak a bit more about how we can achieve that sense of connection.
Thanks, Becca. So there is a concept known as attunement, which, simply put, refers to making others feel understood. It's about feeling felt when interacting and resonating with others. When we have an attuned interaction with someone, both parties contribute equally and feel heard and listened to. We can show that we're listening to people in a range of ways. For example, making eye contact, smiling, nodding, answering questions, or repeating what we've heard. Sometimes we underestimate the importance of these things. But how different does it feel when someone walks past you and smiles versus looking away from you as they move out of the way? These seemingly small things are the building blocks of communication and interactions and are so important for connection, and none of them involve physical contact. So if what I am describing is attunement, you might ask, how do I attune with others? Well, in this next part of the video, I'm going to talk you through the attunement principles. See the video interaction guidance book reference here, which looks at various things we can do at different levels to attune and connect with other people. These are all extremely important and relevant, even in the socially distant world that we find ourselves in. And you're probably doing lots of them already. I'll give you a general overview of the different layers of the attunement principles, and then Amanda will go through those early strong foundation layers in more detail with some examples. We can think about attunement and attuned interactions in layers, a bit like this rainbow. Our foundation layer here at the bottom is all about us being attentive. And we can show this in many ways, such as turning towards someone, having a friendly posture, looking interested. Also, don't underestimate the power of time and space for others. Just being in their company and sharing that moment together. That might also be through video or phone calls at the moment, but that time for others is important. This layer then builds up to the next principle of encouraging initiatives of attunement, encouraging others to interact and attune with us. And we can show this in many ways, such as being playful, listening, naming what we notice in others, or using a warm and friendly tone. As we work our way up these rainbow layers of attunement, building on our meaningful, connected interactions, we then get to the principle of receiving initiatives of attunement. And this is acknowledging others in a meaningful way. We can do this in many ways, such as through nodding, eye contact, and this doesn't have to be sustained, it could just be for a moment. Repeating what the person has said through active listening, smiling. If we actively demonstrate these first three layers, this can lead us to attuned interactions together. And we can take that further by taking equal turns, having fun, checking that we've understood what others have said, and cooperating with others. And it's at this point that, having worked hard at being attuned together, we can then start to guide or support others. Something important in our role as a teacher, as a parent, as a carer, as a colleague, as a team leader. It is at this point, with our strong foundation layers, that we can make suggestions, provide help to others, offer choices, give information. But without those early layers and the time invested in making the interaction attuned, this layer becomes more challenging. In this last image of the rainbow, you'll notice a reflection of the rainbow. For me, that symbolises the need to let people know, to reflect those attuned moments back to people. For example, if someone made you feel heard and listened to and understood, or even if someone just made you feel just that little bit better after spending time with you, even within the current climate, tell them. This is how we grow attunement and connection, even in a socially distant world. Amanda's now going to talk through some examples of what this might look like in current times.
Thanks, Ellen. So, as Ellen has just said, I'm going to use some actual examples of real life interactions to illustrate what we mean by these first three layers of attunement. So whilst the next photos and videos I'm about to show you are of parents interacting with their children, it's important to remember that these attunement principles are relevant when interacting with all children of all ages, and even when we're interacting with other adults. It's also relevant to adults interacting with within their roles as teacher or parent or as team leader. So these photos and videos are relevant to us all. So here you can see I am interacting with my 1-year-old child called Caitlin. Trying to maintain a distance, the principles of attunement are relevant to the current context of COVID-19 when we aren't able to touch or get very close to the people we're interacting with. So here you can see I am being attentive to Caitlin. Now, what can I see myself doing? I can see myself smiling and turning towards Caitlin. I'm looking really interested at what she's doing. So as if she was to look up at me, she could see that I'm smiling and showing that interest in what she's doing. I'm wondering what she's doing and what she's thinking. And I'm really enjoying watching her because you can see that from the smile on my face. Here I'm going to extend on this by showing a video of me interacting with Caitlin again. So just looking at this still to start with, you can see that I'm showing that early layer of being attentive again. So I'm watching, I'm turning towards her, I'm at her level. But through this video, I'm also going to show you how I'm encouraging her interactions. So we're going into the next layer of attunement.
Well, you can do that. Oh, we've got two now. Oh, you can bang.
So you can see here, I'm naming what Caitlin is doing. So Caitlin is banging 2 blocks together, and I'm naming positively what she is doing to encourage her to interact with me. So I'm saying what she's doing, but I'm also giving her the space and waiting and watching to notice what she is doing. So to notice those interactions towards me. So here we have a video of Mary interacting with her older child, Lucille. So as you can see from this still, Mary and Lucille are sitting 2 meters apart, which is obviously particularly relevant given the current context of COVID-19, when we need to keep a distance. So in this video, I'm going to illustrate what we mean by this third foundational layer of attunement, which is how we receive children's interactions towards us. So as you can see, Mary is showing those earlier layers of attunement through being attentive towards Lucille and encouraging her interactions. And through this video, I will show you what we mean by the layer of receiving Lucille's interactions.
Do you like football? Yeah. What do you like about football?
Well, you can just run around free and you can...
So here Mary is asking about Lucille's interest in football. You can see that she's receiving Lucille's eye contact, so they're really looking and sharing that eye contact together. Mary's also showing real space and actively listening to what Lucille is saying through giving her that space to talk about it.
Make yourself feel proud when you score a goal.
Oh, have you scored a goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, when tell me about that.
So at that point, Lucille said that she feels actively proud when she scores a goal. Mary really receives this by using that same word, goal. So through repeating Lucille's words, Mary is really showing that she has heard what Lucille has said to her. So Lucille is sitting there feeling really valued and really listened to through what Mary has done to receive that interaction.
It's kind of like you don't think about anything. You don't think about school, you don't think about work, you just think about what you've just done and the achievement that you've...
So at the end, it's a bit blurry on this video, but at the end, there's some real shared, again, eye contact, but shared smiling towards each other. So Mary is not interrupting what Lucille has said, but she's really showing that she's listening through her body language and her friendly, non-verbal language, that through smiling at what Lucille is saying and really receiving what she said. So through these videos, we've given you a bit of a taster of what we mean by these first 3 foundational layers of attunement, which, as Ellen described earlier, are the foundations for ongoing guidance and support.
So just remember, if we want our children and young people and ourselves to come out of this pandemic with more resilience, connection is crucial, and we can maintain that connection through really simple attunement principles, as we've demonstrated today, that don't necessarily need to involve physical contact.